remember the first time I felt ashamed of my body. I was not even an adult yet. I was standing in a school hallway holding my lunch tray, and I heard someone laugh behind me. I did not know they were laughing at me at first. But then I heard my name. I heard the word big. I heard the word fat, and I felt something change inside me that day. I went home and stood in front of the mirror longer than usual. I looked at my stomach. I turned sideways. I pulled my shirt tight to see my shape. That was the first time I learned to judge myself. As I grew up, that voice inside my head grew louder. Every time I looked in the mirror, I did not see a person. I saw problems. I saw what needed to be fixed. I saw what needed to be smaller. And for years, I believed that when I finally lost weight, I would finally be happy. But life does not work like that. As I became an adult, weight was not my only struggle. Life became busy. Responsibilities grew. Stress became normal. I worked hard. I gave to everyone else. I showed up for family. I showed up for work. I showed up for friends. But I slowly stopped showing up for myself. Food became comfort. Food became reward. Food became something I reached for when I was tired, overwhelmed, lonely, or bored. At first, it did not feel dangerous. It felt harmless. Just a snack after work. Just a little dessert at night. Just something small to relax. But small things repeated every day become big things. The weight did not arrive suddenly. It came quietly. My clothes got tighter. I stopped wearing certain outfits. I started avoiding photos. I learned how to stand behind people in group pictures. And then came the morning that changed everything. It was early. The house was quiet. Light from the window was soft. I walked into my bathroom and saw the scale. I had been avoiding it for months. I told myself I did not need to know. But deep down, I already knew. My hands were shaking when I stepped on it. I looked down. The number hit me like a punch. I blinked. I stepped off. I stepped back on. Same number. It was the highest weight I had ever seen in my life. I felt embarrassed even though no one else was there. I felt disappointed. I felt like I had failed myself. I sat down on the edge of the bathtub and stared at the floor. I felt heavy, not just in my body, but in my spirit. Then I stood up and forced myself to look in the mirror. I did not recognize the person looking back at me. My eyes looked tired. My shoulders looked slouched. My face looked swollen. But what hurt the most was the sadness in my expression. I whispered, "How did I let this happen?" If you have ever asked yourself that question, I need you to hear me right now. You are not alone. Before I continue, if this story feels like it could be yours, please like this video right now. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Comment below and tell me where you are in your journey. And subscribe to this channel. This is not just content. This is community. This is growth. And I promise you, we will never let you down. Now let me tell you about the moment that scared me enough to change. One day, I was walking up the stairs in my own house. Halfway up, I had to stop. My chest felt tight. My heart was racing. My legs felt heavy. I sat down on the steps, trying to catch my breath. And for the first time, I felt fear. Not fear of how I looked. Fear of what my future would look like. I imagined 5 years passing, 10 years passing. Would I feel worse? Would I struggle more? Would I regret not changing? That thought shook me deeply. But even after that moment, I did not change overnight. I wish I could tell you that I woke up the next day and everything was different. It wasn't. There were days I still reached for comfort food. There were days I told myself I would start next Monday. There were nights I lay in bed feeling frustrated and stuck. And then came the moment that truly broke me. It was a family gathering. Someone took a group picture. Later that night, I saw the photo. I stared at it for a long time. I barely recognized myself. I looked bigger than I imagined. My smile looked forced. I zoomed in and felt tears in my eyes. That was not how I felt inside. Inside, I still felt young. Inside, I still felt capable. But the outside did not match the inside. That was the night I cried quietly into my pillow. I did not cry because I hated myself. I cried because I missed myself. I missed feeling light. I missed feeling confident. I missed feeling proud. And in that quiet darkness, I made a decision. Not a loud one. Not a dramatic one. A quiet promise. I will not live like this forever. I did not promise to lose a certain number of pounds. I did not promise to become perfect. I promised to start. The next morning, I did something small. I walked. Just 10 minutes. It felt almost too simple. But those 10 minutes mattered. Because for the first time in a long time, I was choosing myself. And that is where everything began. That first 10-minute walk did not change my body, but it changed something inside my mind. It gave me proof that I could still move. It gave me proof that I could still choose myself. The next day, I walked again. Some days I did not feel like it. Some days I felt tired before I even started. But I told myself something very simple. Just show up, not be perfect, not go hard, just show up. And I did. After a week, 10 minutes became 15. After 2 weeks, 15 became 20. I started to notice something surprising. Walking was not just helping my body. It was clearing my head. It became my thinking time. It became the place where I talked to myself honestly. I began to ask myself hard questions. Why did I use food as comfort? Why did I feel so tired all the time? Why did I stop caring about myself? The answers were not simple. I realized I had been living on autopilot. Wake up, work, stress, eat, scroll, sleep, repeat. I was surviving, not living. And surviving makes you forget about yourself. So I made another small change. I stopped drinking soda every day. I didn't say I would never drink it again. I just chose water first. That one small decision removed hundreds of extra calories without me feeling punished. Then I started eating slower. Before this, I would eat fast and distracted. I would barely taste my food. Now I sat down. I chewed slowly. I paid attention. And for the first time in years, I listened to my body instead of my emotions. I noticed something important. Sometimes I wasn't hungry. I was stressed. Sometimes I wasn't hungry. I was bored. Sometimes I wasn't hungry. I just wanted comfort. That realization changed everything. But let me be honest with you. There was a relapse. About 1 month into my journey, I had a very stressful week at work. Deadlines, pressure, long hours. By Friday night, I felt exhausted. I ordered fast food. I ate more than I planned. I told myself, it's fine, just this once. But the next day, I did it again. And the next. By Sunday night, I felt defeated. I stood in the bathroom again. I was afraid to step on the scale. I felt like I ruined everything. And that old voice came back. You see, you can't do this. That voice was loud, but something inside me was louder. Instead of quitting, I asked myself a new question. What would the old me do right now? The old me would give up. The old me would say, I already failed. The old me would wait for next Monday. So I decided to do the opposite. Monday morning, I walked, even though I felt guilty, even though I felt disappointed, even though I felt heavy. I walked, and that walk was powerful because it proved something important. One bad weekend does not erase one good month. One mistake does not cancel progress. That moment taught me more than any diet ever did. It taught me resilience, and resilience is stronger than motivation. Weeks turned into months. The scale started moving slowly. very slowly. Sometimes just 1 pound, sometimes nothing at all. There were days I felt impatient. There were days I thought, why is this so slow? But then I remembered something important. Fast results disappear fast. Slow results stay. I was building habits, not chasing numbers. I created one simple rule that helped me deeply. After 8 p.m., the kitchen was closed. Nighttime used to be my weakest time. I would snack without thinking. Closing the kitchen gave me structure. Structure gave me control. Control gave me confidence. I also started sleeping earlier. At first, it felt strange. I was used to staying up late scrolling on my phone. But I noticed something amazing. When I slept more, I craved less sugar. When I slept more, I had more energy. When I slept more, I made better choices. Sleep became my secret weapon. Then something beautiful happened. One day, I put on a pair of jeans that had been tight for months. They slid on easier. Not dramatically, but enough. I stood in front of the mirror and smiled. Not because I looked perfect, but because I felt proud. Proud that I didn't quit. Proud that I kept going after mistakes. Proud that I chose discipline over excuses. And that feeling was addictive in the best way. It wasn't about weight anymore. It was about self-respect. It was about becoming someone I trusted. Because for years I had broken promises to myself. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do better next week. I'll change soon. But now, I was keeping promises. And keeping promises to yourself changes how you see yourself. I began to stand taller. I began to speak with more confidence. I began to believe that I could change other areas of my life too. Weight loss was just the beginning. It became proof that I was capable. And I want you to hear this clearly. You do not need to change everything in one day. You need to change one habit. One. Because one habit repeated daily becomes transformation. Most people wait for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Discipline stays. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. If you are sitting there thinking, I don't feel motivated, that's okay. Start anyway. Walk for 10 minutes. Drink one extra glass of water. Go to bed 30 minutes earlier. Small actions build momentum. Momentum builds belief. Belief builds identity. And identity changes everything. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are overwhelmed. And overwhelmed people do not need extreme plans. They need small wins. As months passed, I lost more weight. But more importantly, I gained something priceless. Energy, clarity, confidence. I no longer avoided mirrors. I no longer hid in photos. I no longer felt embarrassed walking into rooms. But here is the most important part. Even before I reached my goal weight, I felt transformed. Because transformation is not just physical. It is mental. It is emotional. It is spiritual. I became someone who finishes what they start. And that is more powerful than any number on a scale. As the months passed, something began to change inside me that had nothing to do with the scale. Yes, the weight was coming off slowly. Yes, my clothes were fitting better. Yes, people started noticing and saying, "You look different." But the biggest change was invisible. It was the way I talked to myself. For years, my inner voice had been harsh. You're lazy. You have no discipline. You always fail. That voice used to control me. But during this journey, something shifted. Every time I showed up for a walk when I didn't feel like it, every time I chose water over soda, every time I stopped eating when I was full instead of stuffed, I was building a new voice. A stronger voice. A kinder voice. That voice started saying, "You kept your promise. You didn't quit. You're growing." And that voice changed everything. Because weight loss is not just about losing pounds. It is about building trust with yourself again. It is about proving to yourself that you can do hard things. There was a moment about 6 months into my journey that I will never forget. I was getting ready for another family gathering. Normally, events like this made me nervous. I would stress about what to wear. I would feel uncomfortable in my own skin. But this time was different. I put on an outfit that I hadn't worn in a long time. It fit comfortably. I looked in the mirror, and instead of searching for flaws, I paused. I saw strength. I saw effort. I saw someone who didn't quit. That day at the gathering, someone took another group picture. When I saw it later, I didn't zoom in with shame. I didn't feel embarrassed. I smiled, because for the first time in years, the outside matched how I felt inside. But here is something very important. Even if the scale had not changed that much, I still would have felt proud. Because the real transformation was not the weight. It was the discipline. It was the mindset. It was the identity shift. I stopped being someone who tries to lose weight. I became someone who takes care of themselves. That identity change is powerful. When you see yourself someone who walks daily, you walk. When you see yourself as someone who drinks water, you drink water. When you see yourself as someone who doesn't quit, you don't quit. It starts small, but it becomes who you are. I also learned something that changed my entire life. You cannot hate yourself into becoming someone you love. You cannot shame yourself into discipline. You cannot punish yourself into peace. Real change happens when you decide you are worth the effort. There were still days when I felt tempted. There were still holidays. There were still stressful weeks. But instead of spiraling, I had a new rule. Never miss twice. If I had a bad day, the next day I walked. If I overate one night, the next meal I ate normally. I stopped thinking in extremes. I stopped thinking, I ruined everything, because nothing is ruined unless you quit. And I did not quit. That is the difference. Not perfection. Consistency. Slow consistency. And I want to speak directly to you right now. If you are watching this and you feel stuck, if you feel ashamed of your body, if you feel like you've tried and failed too many times, listen to me carefully. You are not too far gone. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are overwhelmed. And overwhelmed people need small steps, not giant leaps, not extreme diets, not punishment. You need one small promise, and you need to keep it. Start with 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes of walking, 10 minutes of movement, 10 minutes of choosing yourself. Because 10 minutes today becomes 20 next week. 20 becomes 30. And before you know it, you have built a habit. And habits change lives. I am not special. I am not gifted. I am not different from you. I simply stopped quitting. And that is available to you too. You do not need motivation to begin. You need action. Motivation comes after you start. Confidence comes after you show up. Strength comes after repetition. The hardest part is the first step. After that, momentum begins to carry you. Today, when I look in the mirror, I see more than a smaller body. I see discipline. I see growth. I see someone who chose to fight for themselves quietly. And I am proud. Not because I am perfect, but because I did not give up. And that pride feels better than any dessert ever tasted. If you remember nothing else from my story, remember this: slow change is real change. Small steps matter. You are one decision away from a different life. Not a perfect life, a better one. You do not need to lose all the weight to feel proud. You need to keep one promise, just one, and then keep it again tomorrow. If this story moved you even a little, I want you to take action right now. Like this video so more people who feel stuck can find it. Share this with someone who needs hope. Comment below and tell me where you are starting from. I truly read the comments, and your story matters. And please subscribe to this channel. This is not just content. This is a community. This is a place where we grow together. This is a place where you will not be judged. This is a place where you will feel supported. And I promise you, we will never let you down. We are building something powerful here. Before you leave, make sure you click the link in the description below and visit our website. We have helpful materials, guides, and step-by-step support that can help you start your own journey the right way. Do not try to do this alone. You deserve support. You deserve tools. You deserve guidance. Your next chapter can begin today, not next Monday, not next month, today. And I believe in you. More importantly, it's time for you to believe in yourself. Your story is not over. This is just the beginning.